Welcome everyone to the class of marketing research and analysis. Till now we have discussed about several tools and techniques used in the in the marketing space, how companies utilize them and what do they gain out of it, how they make advantage out of those by using these techniques. We have discussed some of them. One of this which we had recently discussed was a technique which was an interdependence technique, in which we tried to bring in large number of variables to a few ones and create factors out of it, which we said as factor analysis, right. So, in that we had reduced large number of variables, maybe 100, to a few meaningful ones, which I always repeat the word meaningful, right, ones, and then give a name to those factors, and then try to understand how these factors are going to determine or affect maybe some other prediction, some other kind of a relationship. Today we are going to discuss similarly another technique which is equally important, right, and very much utilized in the market, basically by marketers, right. Let us say there is a case, a company wants to sell, let us say some kind of phones, right. Nowadays a lot of phones are coming, mobile phones. So, it wants to sell mobile phones and it has got a target of about, let us say 1 lakh, okay, 1 lakh pieces of phones to be sold. Now, the company wants to know how should I sell them, right. So, while selling, he wants to target the customers. So, while targeting the customers, he has got certain variables like age of the people, right, say income of the people, kind of a habit of a people, some kind of habit, let us say. So, now on basis of these variables, the company wants to divide a particular maybe state or place, because if suppose this is a whole place, let us say, and now they want to say are we going to target the whole state or no. Because if you are going to target the whole state for 1 lakh pieces of mobile, it might be little difficult, right. So, is there a way that I can divide this state into several groups or clusters? Then what he does is he tries to divide the state not geographically, maybe on certain other parameters, taking these three maybe on some clusters, maybe, correct, some clusters. So, now it says out of these clusters they find all these clusters have got different characteristics, okay. So, it finds that maybe once I break this into 4 clusters, cluster 2 is the one which is very promising. It seems to the company that it is a very promising cluster. Why? Because the people in this cluster are ones who would be interested to buy such kind of mobile phones which has all the characteristics that this company's phone has got, right. So, in such a condition, this becomes highly useful for the company to understand how we could easily segment and then target the market so that we can achieve better results, right. So, to do this, we are using the technique which is called cluster analysis. So, cluster analysis, as you can understand, is to divide or create clusters out of a large pool of respondents, right. We say respondents, cases, whatever you can say. So, these respondents are grouped into several similar clusters, right, so that each cluster has got people inside or who are highly similar or highly homogeneous in nature, right. So, what we understand is all the respondents within the clusters, let us say if these are the respondents, all the people or respondent, what to say, they are highly heterogeneous, homogeneous in nature. That means their behavior is more or less highly similar, they are same, right. But we understand the two clusters, let us say cluster 1 and cluster 4, cluster 2 and cluster 3, they are all different from each other, right. So, this is the basic understanding of cluster analysis, that within the cluster there is very minimal difference or distance, and two clusters, between the clusters let us say the distance is high. Okay. Okay. So, let us see how it functions, what happens in a cluster analysis. So, as I started, so what is cluster, how do you define it? It says it is a group of multivariate technique whose primary purpose is to group objects, right. Example, respondents, it could be products, it could be other entities, whatever, right. So, you are trying to group these respondents or products or something into several clusters, several groups which have a similarity, similar nature, right. The other thing, if you remember, in factor analysis we said there we were trying to group the variables, right. So, that was variables, here respondents or products or whatever other entities, right. So, what is saying, it is a means of grouping records based upon certain attributes. Now, what are the attributes upon which it is grouping? Now, the attributes in this case are, for example, age, income level, let us say habit means spend, let us say spending habit, right, or let us say maybe technologically savvy, how technologically tech savvy are people. So, maybe that is an indicator of measuring, right. So, you can have certain criteria, certain attributes upon which you can create those similarity, right. So, and each similar group is a cluster, right. So, if plotted geometrically, the objects within the clusters will be close together. So, that is what I was saying, if you plot it, then the objects within the clusters are very close to each other, that is what it is said, they are homogeneous in nature, and two clusters are the variables, the respondents within two different clusters are highly heterogeneous in nature, right, their behavior is highly different, right. This is what cluster basically tells you. So, cluster variate represents a mathematical representation of the selected set of variables which compares the object similarities. Now, what it is saying, so mathematically you are trying to plot, maybe a plot or try to find out some similarity, so that it becomes easier for a marketer to understand which are the clusters he or she should cater to, right. It becomes a very simple. Let us say take so many examples, companies, Maruti is coming up with a new car. Now, should Maruti target everybody, or should Maruti have a specific thing, a specific policy in mind, how to target, whom to target. So, when it does it, it has to take certain attributes, on these basically attributes that finally decides. Okay. So, cluster versus factor analysis, clustering is based on the distance matrix, and factor we said was on a correlation matrix. So, if you remember, in factor analysis we said that the most important thing was we were trying to find out a correlation, right. So, so we were trying to find a correlation, right. So, when we are trying to find a correlation, and this correlation was telling us how close were the variables to each other. But in cluster analysis we do not take the correlation, rather we take the distance. What we take? We take the distance. So, the grouping is based on the distance, how far are the variables from each other, or how close are the variables from each other, from each other. So, as it says, factor analysis we form groups of variables based on the several people's response to those variables. In contrast, cluster analysis, in cluster analysis we group people based on the responses to several variables. Now, how people have responded to several variables, what score they have given, so that tells basically their behavior, that the thinking pattern and all. So, by taking those variables, their thinking pattern and all these things, you can classify these respondents into several groups, right, which as I said is basically nothing but a mental distance or a distance that is measured, right. So, this distance is basically mental distance. Sometimes we feel some things are very close to us, but they are actually not, whereas some other things, some other places might be, we feel they are very far off, but they are actually not so far. This is actually nothing but a mental perception, a mental distance, right. We feel that it is very far off, but actually that might be closer, right. So, that is what happens. So, where are the applications? Some applications are, as I have mentioned, field of psychiatry, biology, right, information retrieval. For example, the World Wide Web contains billions of web pages. So, when you type maybe for example, market research, right. So, all those pages which are linked to research or marketing research, they will be clubbed, they will be brought together, right. So, this is nothing but they are clustering in one way, okay. For climate, for example, understanding the earth's climate requires finding patterns in the atmosphere and the ocean. To that end, cluster analysis has been applied to find patterns in the atmospheric pressure of polar regions and areas of the ocean that have a significant impact. So, how do you say that some places are very similar climatic conditions? Because this is again where we use cluster analysis to divide as per the although distance wise the two places might be far off, but the climatic, the type of climate, the weather, all these things are very similar in two different places. So, they can be still clubbed into one, right. So, understanding these things is very, some more applications I can show you. Market segmentation, grouping people, right. So, grouping people and with the willingness, purchasing power, the authority to buy according to the similarity in several dimensions. Sales segmentation can tell you what type of customers buy what products. So, customer A would buy what kind of a product, that is what helps that is how cluster analysis helps the marketer, right. So, some examples are always there, many more examples, city planning, insurance, right, geographical examples. So, all these basically are used to group respondents according to certain behavior attributes and find those clusters, right. Once you find those clusters, it becomes easy for you to making policy making, for selling something, for maybe understanding a kind of trend or any trait, any behavioral trait, maybe some genetic study you are wanting to do. So, everywhere. In fact, to tell you, the use of cluster analysis was did not start with marketing or something, right. It had its roots actually in taxonomy, in biology, where different kind of species were to be classified into different groups, right. So, this is how it all has started. So, common role cluster analysis can play, right. First is data reduction. So, as factor analysis also was helpful in data reduction, similarly cluster analysis also helps you in data reduction. A researcher may be faced with large number of observations that can be meaningless, right, unless classified to a managerial groups. So, how many groups? Suppose you have 10,000 respondents, 1 lakh respondents, but 1 lakh respondents individually if you understand this, nothing you can do. So, if you rather create 10 clusters out of it, then it makes much better meaning out of it, right. Second is hypothesis generation. Cluster analysis is also useful when a researcher wishes to develop hypothesis concerning the nature of the data or to examine previously stated hypothesis. So, cluster analysis is also useful in developing a hypothesis, right, because it gives you insight in the knowledge about certain things. So, it helps you to develop a hypothesis, right, and even finally test it. So, what are the objectives? So, taxonomy description, so identifying groups, data simplification, the ability to analyze groups on similar observations instead of all individuals, which I said is very taxing and difficult, impossible sometimes. Then finally is relationship identification, where it says the simplified structure from cluster portrays relationships not revealed otherwise. Sometimes we can find out, let us say now I had said there are 4 clusters, right. So, are these 4 clusters okay, fine, there is no doubt that these 4 clusters are different, but there is a possibility that cluster 1 and cluster 3 are actually very close to each other. Sometimes it happens in your state where you stay, that maybe one district, the state has got 10 districts, out of which 2 districts are extremely similar because of their maybe language, their food habits or something, or cultural habits. So, they are very similar. So, they can sometimes, if you want, you can even club them and make it like one cluster, right, you can make it. So, this relationship identification is an important job of cluster analysis. How does it work? So, 3 basic things are there. Now, what are these 3 basic things? So, it says the primary objective of cluster analysis is to define the structure of the data, right. So, by placing the most similar observation into groups. Remember, if you are working with data and trying to find out similarity so that you can form groups, then there could be some problems with it also. Suppose the biggest problem that can affect cluster analysis is, suppose you have a data which has got, there are few outliers in the data. Now, if you have few outliers in the data, then that could completely change the the way the groups are formed. That could be a very important thing one should keep in mind. Okay. Three things that are very important. How do we measure the similarity? So, when you are doing the cluster analysis, the question comes, how do I know which groups are similar? There are 4 clusters. Now, how do I know which are similar to each other? One. Second thing, how do I form the clusters? How do we form the clusters? It is not that the data is given to us and we just do it. There must be a way, right. So, how do I form the clusters? Third, how many? So, the question is, how do I form clusters? How do I form, right? How many do I form, right? How many? How do I form? How many do I form? And how do I measure the similarity? How do I measure the similarity? So, if I can measure the similarity, then only I can do this, right. So, let us see, but one thing is you have to keep in mind that in the cluster analysis we are not looking at the correlation. And why we are not looking at the correlation? I will explain you. See, correlation is like something like this, suppose two things are moving like this, the correlation might be very high among them, but suppose these two versus, let us say, take this just understand it this way. Suppose these two lines and these two lines. If you look, the correlation between the two both the lines pairs, let us say A, B, C, D. A, B and C and D, suppose these two are one group, these two are one group, is more or less same, the correlation is more or less same. But if you look at the distance is actually not same. So, that is what is the basic underlying difference between cluster and the distance and the correlation. Okay. So, what is similarity? Similarity represents the degree of correspondence among objects across all the characteristics used in the analysis. So, I have several attributes as I had used, let us say I have asked several variables, there are several variables which I have used in the study, some of them being like income, age and all these things. Now, taking them together when I am trying to build a kind of a similarity matrix, right. So, all these variables together will help me, not one but together they will help me in defining a cluster, right. Okay. So, as I said, correlation measures are less frequently used, only in case there is a special case where correlation is used, where when there is something called there is called a Mahalanobis distance which is used when there are certain variables do have a correlation, we use it. There is a special case, I will come to that, right. Otherwise, most often the similarity is measured through the distance. Okay. Now, this is what I was trying to explain. You see, if you look at it, if you look at the two charts, the two graphs, the graph 1 and graph 2, both the R is equal to 1. Now, what is R? The correlation value. So, the coefficient of correlation is 1, that means they are highly correlated, right. So, which implies to have a same pattern, right, but the distances are not equal, the distances between these and the distances between these are not equal. So, these two will get a similar different interpretation in cluster analysis, but had it been a case of a factor, it would have looked very similar, right. So, that is the basic differences. Okay. So, graph 1 represents high level of similarity, right. Graph and if graph 1, because the distance is less, the distance, why it is saying? Now, because if the distance is less, that means they are close to each other, as good as that, right. If it is if it is close, then they are similar, they are coming trending towards each other, right. But if the distance is high, although the correlation, the trend is same, but there is a sufficient gap, right. So all these things are very important to understand this, right. So the distance, now how do you measure the distance? There are several ways. The basic way of measuring the distance is the Euclidean distance. Now Euclidean distance is the distance which we say is the straight line, right. So how do we calculate? So d is equal to, let us say x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square, right. So this is what basically how we measure, right. So the most commonly recognized as a straight line distance, right. So this is how you measure. There are other forms also, for example the squared Euclidean distance, which says that you take the sum of the squared differences without taking the square root, that means only you omit the square root, right. Okay. So the other distances like the city block distance, Manhattan distance, which is not like the Euclidean, because this one takes the absolute value. And it is sometimes it does not work well because of this nature of absolute value, it does not work well, right. So one has to be very careful which you are applying, but mostly if you do not understand much, simply you can go for the Euclidean distance, because that is one of the safest ways until unless there is a correlation among the variables, right. Then you have two more like the Chebyshev's distance, right, which is taking the maximum of the absolute difference in the clustering variables values. For example, maximum of x1 minus x2 minus x1 or y2 minus x1. So the absolute value is only taken, right. And the last which I was saying is the Mahalanobis distance, which measures the accounts for the correlation among the variables in a way that weights each variables equally. Now Mahalanobis distance is also a very important tool which is used to also find out outliers. Let me tell you, this is maybe not here, but suppose you are doing a simple regression and you want to find out outliers, Mahalanobis distance is the technique which is used to measure, to find out those outliers, okay. So this is one way of doing it. Remember, only the condition applied is when the variables have a large correlation or a high correlation among them, at that time it is preferable to use a Mahalanobis distance over the other distances. And these things you will find almost everywhere in the softwares nowadays, right. So you do not need to calculate it by hand, okay. Now this is how the Euclidean distance looks like, all the three at one go it is showing you. Now this is how the hypotenuse is measured, right. So let us say this is an example. Now let us start with an example. Now this example, if you can go through, a marketing researcher wishes to determine market segments in a community based on patterns of loyalty to brands and stores okay. A small sample of 7 respondents is selected as a pilot. 2 measures of loyalty, store loyalty and brand loyalty, V1 and V2, right, were measured for each respondents on a 0 to 10 scale, right. The scores are given to you. So these are the 7 respondents A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the score that they have given for store loyalty and brand loyalty is being given to you on this on a scale of 0 to 10, right. Now from this data, let us see how we can get into the cluster analysis, okay. So when I place the data on a graph, so 3, 2, 4, 5, 4, 7, so if you can see this A is 3, 2, right, 3, 2, then B is 4, 5, right, C is 4, 7, D is 2, 7. So we can see here D is 2, 7, right. So we have just done a scatter plot, we have placed them on the graph, right. Now how do we measure similarity? The first question that we had, how do we measure the similarity? So to do this, right, how do we measure similarity? I said we can use the Euclidean distance as the way of doing it. Now how it is done? Now for example, let us take the distances. Now let us take 2 distances, okay. So between 2 variables. Now for example, this was 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2, 4, 5, 4, 7, 4, 7, 2, 7. Okay. So, let us take only this much, let us say only take this much. So, this is A, B, C, D, I am taking. Now, suppose we want to find out the distance. Now, how do we do it? Now, to do that, what you can do is simply you go first, let us find between A and B. A and B. Okay. So, the distance between A and B is equal to AB is equal to, now let us say x2 minus x1, or whatever, you can take it one way. So, 3 minus 4, right, or you can say 4 minus 3 also, it does not make a difference because you will obviously it is a square, right. 4 minus 3 square plus 5 minus 2 square, right. Oh sorry, so sorry, either you take it this way, right, 5 minus 2 square. So, 4 minus 3 square plus 5 minus 2 square root over, right. So, what is this coming? So, 1 plus 2, 3, 3, 9, 1 plus 9 root over of 10. So, that means it is coming something around 3.162. So, 3.162. Similarly, you can find the distance for all the other variables, right. Now, so the distance between A and B is 3.162. Obviously, A and A would be same 1. So, A and C is measured, similarly you can measure A and C. Now, let us calculate one more A and C. Now, A and C, right. So, these two we are measuring. So, if we measure these two, it will be 4 DAC is equal to 4 minus 3 square plus 7 minus 2 square root over. So, that is equal to 1 plus 25. So, that is equal to root over of 26. So, that is equal to 5 point something, right. So, so it must be A and C is 5.099, right. So, for that everything you have measured, right. So, you have measured it. So, after measuring how do we, the next question was how do we form the clusters. So, the question is how do we form the clusters. So, you have measured the distances. Now, find out the distance between two clusters, the minimum distance between the two clusters, or the minimum means why it is I am saying minimum because they are the closest. The distance is minimum means they are very close to each other. Had the distance been more, they would have been far from each other, right. So, identify the two most observations not already in the same cluster and combine them. That means, so what you can do is two similar clusters, two observations between two clusters. For example, as I was explaining, suppose this is one cluster, this is one cluster. So, identify two values, right, and through certain ways, there are certain ways I will explain that also, the single linkage, average linkage, complete linkage methods, centroid methods, there are different ways how you should identify, right. So, you identify the two most similar observations not already in the same cluster and combine them and start combining them, that is what is the objective. So, we want to form the clusters. So, once we have identified this, so we apply this rule to generate a number of cluster solutions starting with each observation as its own cluster, right, and then combining two clusters at a time until all observations are in a single cluster. That means what? You are trying to add up the closest ones. So, this is one, this is one, let us say 1 and 2. Now, 1 and 2 are close. So, next is let us say 5 is closest to them. So, you add up now 5, right, then let us say 8, let us say, so you add up 8, then let us say 6, so you add up 6. So, it goes on adding the nearest variable in terms of the distance, okay. This method of this process is termed a hierarchical procedure. Why? Obviously, it is a hierarchical procedure because you are maintaining a hierarchy, right, you are following a hierarchy. So, when you do this, ultimately all the different respondents will be clubbed together to form a single cluster, right, single cluster. But the question is, if we have a single cluster, then the whole meaning is lost, right. Suppose I want to know which state suppose the state of, let us say, or the country, our country India, suppose we want to do it in India, then if I say the whole market is your market, then it becomes very difficult for me to make any interpretation out of it. So in those cases you have to understand ki, well, what should I do, this is not sufficient for me, how do I break it into several clusters first. So how many clusters should India be broken into for the marketer, so that it can easily cater to those clusters. So we will see that, right. The process is termed hierarchical procedure because it moves in a stepwise fashion to form an entire range of cluster solutions, right. It is also agglomerative method because clusters are formed by combining the existing clusters. So what is it saying? So you are trying to form the clusters because let us say cluster 1, as I had drawn here, let us say there was cluster 1, there was cluster 2, so cluster 3. So if I add up 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, then it becomes the whole place, the country India. Now the question is, how do I add up? Should I add up like anybody or everybody, or should I have a mechanism? Now what is the mechanism? The mechanism is find out the two clusters which are very similar or very close to each other, and once you can find out those two clusters which are close to each other, then and you start on adding, then ultimately you will land up to the whole market, that is India, right. So this is why it is called a agglomerative method, okay. Now let us look at this. So the agglomerative process is a process in which what we have done is, if you look at it, this is the minimum distance that you have calculated by now, we had done this through the Euclidean distance. Now after doing this, what were the distances? Now the distance we have arranged it. So 1.414, 2, 2, 2, 2.236, 3.162. Now the pairs of respondents which were related to it are for the first one is E and F, for the second one is E and G. I hope you can recall that. Let us go back to the, now you look at it. So the lowest value is at E and F, okay. So E and F is 1.414 is the lowest. So the next one is, let us say there are three next lowest, 2, this is 2, right, in this line, and then in this line again you have a 2, and again here you have a 2. So now you can take the closest one. For example, in this case what we have done, now E and F for the first pair, then second pair we took E and G, right, because E was already there, so the closest to E we found out, and then C and D, and finally we started doing each, right. If you can see the cluster membership here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so there are 7 clusters, so we have not done any grouping, right. Now after this what we did was we clubbed E and F together here, E and F together to form a single cluster. So there becomes 6 clusters then, right. Then we did A, B, C, D, E, F and G, we added E, F, G together, so 5 clusters. Then we added A, B, C, D, C and D together, then E, F, G, right. So what we have done is basically we have shortened, we have reduced the number of clusters to a few, so that we can finally land up into one, right. So by doing this, I will explain you maybe in the next session how do we calculate this part also, right, this overall similarity measure, the average within the cluster distance, this also I will explain. So so we are identifying the number of clusters, and through this we can say finally by through this value, this data, ki how many clusters in this case we should have, right. So well, this is what is just the introduction of the cluster analysis. So we will in the next session we will get into the more details, right, how one should form the clusters and how then one should interpret the clusters, okay. Thank you for this session.